G'day guys, I'm going to show you something which is quite interesting with removing solder joins inside coils from reacting with the ground, and the ground targets hot rocks, heavy iron mineralization. So what I've got at the moment, I don't know if it's all in shot, should be. Getting hot here again. It's funny, it was cool before, it's getting hot. I've got a 4000 GPX 4000 I've just done up with some experimental boards. It's going really well. Super quiet, by the way. And I just made a video and I didn't realize it was switched into salt mode. So after about 15 minutes I had to basically go back to where I was and start again. So that's what I'm doing now. So it's sitting there. I've got a microphone over near the speaker. I've got a microphone on me. I've got some I've got a double D coil here, a Commander double D. This will just prove a point about interactions with windings and other materials. Realistically, I should have the windings exposed, and you know, some sort of solder joint on the windings inside the detector. But I can simulate this very, very close anyway. You just make up your own mind. Here, I've got a little blob of solder, okay? So the coil picks up the blob of solder. I can make that a lot louder if it need be, but I don't really want to. And it's just in tracking at the moment. I just want to make sure, because all the different detectors I work on, the switches are always in different positions, and I think it's something or other when it's something else, and then I'll flick the switch and it won't be the right one. I've got to actually look at what I'm doing. So, okay. So what we do, these are the cores out of these detectors. They use, basically, I think you can probably see it there, same one on the wires. And they're probably the same, in my opinion, but I don't know for sure if they are the same as what is used in the X coils or the anyone else's coils that work on the GPZ7000. So anyway, with these, let's see if we can make sure they're inert. We're not flipping the transmit phase or anything. It's all just single-ended, the way it goes. But it'll prove a point too. It should prove a point. And even more so on this too, because a lot of this ferrite material, it doesn't have what we call a reset mechanism at the atomic level inside these. It's always to do with the structure. I don't want to go into that. It gets too complex, but you get hysteresis. I won't even use that word either. You'll get a residual when you energize this in one polarity, and then a residual, you need to overcome that residual doing it in the other polarity. But anyway, if we get this, because it goes on detector wise, shouldn't we be able to balance this out? Shouldn't we? I'll just hit this thing into fast track. I'm watching what I'm doing. Okay, fixed tracking. Okay, so when you ground balance one of these detectors, it has to take this into account in the winding structure. Now you're putting it on ground, which is different than this. So I don't know, like I say, it's my opinion, don't want to get sued, that is those two events causing some sort of ground balance offset. Is it? I don't know. But it will not. That's one type of ferrite. This is another type of ferrite, and it'll probably go off like a Bondi tram with this. Okay, for years and years and years, since the dawn of mucking around with detectors and having a look at how they work, I've been using yellow cores. We'll just call them yellow cores because it's yellow. There are other ones. There's yellow in different colors, and it basically is a different mix. These are iron powder toroids, and this one here, for memory, it's a carbonyl type of core. These are very good for using between 20 and 50 megahertz, and they're very stable. They're temperature stable. A lot of these cores change permeability when you heat them up and cool them down. These are made to be relatively stable. You don't want to go in shade and then, you know, warm, hot ground, as in temperature wise, and the coil heats up and cools down and you get different things happening in your ferrite. Oh, you're not ferrite, sorry, it's iron powder. It's different, okay? So there's all sorts of stuff with these, and you know, there's about 10 different types that I know of in the iron range. Handle a lot of power. The main thing about these is they have, I'm going to try and explain something. I don't want to get technical, but I'm going to have to explain it, okay? With ferrites, ferrites are a different thing altogether, very high permeability, these things. What happens with these? The way these are made, it's all lots of exotic materials. It's all cooked in a furnace, ground up, sintered, stuck together, pressed, and out it comes. And I actually haven't measured this. Usually I'll put a few turns of wire through it, and I will then look at it on a inductance meter, and I'll work out how much inductance it's got. I'll look at the Q factor and so forth, and I can narrow it down. I also look at the resistance, put a resistance meter on the core, see if it's conductive, see if it's a nickel or a manganese type core, or an iron. We'll work it out. It's different resistances for different materials. But anyway, as you can see, these don't really disappear on that coil, and that's, you know, just sitting there, the 4000 purring away. It's in cancel mode, by the way, so that's why it's so quiet. But okay, let's get one of these. Don't you disappear. There we go. Let's get one of these iron ones, right? Now, listen to this. This is a carbonyl iron core, not a pure iron core. Okay, it's reactive, so you know it's got something, some special rare earths in it, or something of that nature. Okay, so let's flick this into fast track, and it should track out, actually. Unless I've done something silly again, have I? No, I haven't. Let's give it another track. Maybe I've got these other cores interfering. Normally it tracks out, but it doesn't want to today for some reason. Oh, hang on, I know what I've done wrong. Hang on, click. Now the ground balance will need complete retuning. Now I'll go back into tracking. Now for some reason it don't want to track out. The right core I was using. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. I might have been using this one. I was. Okay. I've got my cores mixed up, would you believe? Okay, this is a white, yellow, reduced hydrogen type iron powder core. And even though it's smaller than that, I'm going to show you something here anyway. So I've got to go and redo the ferrite again. See, this is the trouble with these detectors. You know, if I don't actually look at what I'm doing and read the damn thing. I do the wrong thing. So, okay, the reduced hydrogen core, it is ignored. Okay, that's fine. This one here, pure yellow. It's a bit reactive, but I can understand why, because I use those in EMI filters. So I've got my cores around the wrong way. These are used in DC chokes and EMI filters. They're power chokes, smoothing chokes, low frequency. But anyway, these ones work at I think they're a bit lower than 20 to 50 megahertz. I think these ones might be around about 10, 20 or something anyway. But you don't want it in the pass band of where you're looking for signals anyway. So if you got this and put your solder connection, sorry, in that, what will happen? Okay, so we've got our piece of solder. This is in the coil. So it's going to be very reactive, right? Even though it's there, the ground's going to come near, it's going to go bonkers. So let's just see what it does. Okay, that's extremely loud, okay? Now, this is how I would remove this from interfering with the ground, and this is more akin to the ground than ferrite any day, right? Ground doesn't have massive permeabilities, and it also the ground itself has a reset mechanism. It is ferrimagnetic, not ferromagnetic. And say I've got the little, well, it's a fairly big blob of solder in there. Okay, you can see that. I'll just put my thumb over it, and I'll go on the coil, see what happens. Oh, no solder. Oh dear, where's that gone? So coil manufacturers use these instead of ferrite. You might improve your products. There it is, and I'll let it fall out. There it is, solder. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of it all. Say we got one of these inside our coil. I can't put it in here, it's going to wreck the coil. It doesn't serve any damn purpose. But you could actually get the connections and put them in very small ferrules. I nearly said ferrules again. So we got this. Now, as far as I know, I'll try and ground balance this. I don't think it'll ground balance in a lifetime of hell, so we'll try it anyway. Okay, into fixed, into tracking. Don't hit the wrong switch. So you got your reactive lump of ferrite in your coil, okay? Now, what happens if we put our piece of solder in this ferrite? Oh, is that really getting rid of it? I mean, I don't think it's maybe getting rid of it, but it's not getting rid of itself. Still reactive. But the thing is, this one, beautiful. In goes a big lump of solder. Nothing. So why don't they use these in the coils? If you want to get rid of all the solder connections and all the interaction. It's so simple to do. So I think they've all gone off on a tangent and used the wrong material. You know, people do get stuck on ideas of ferrite, as such. This is more akin to the ground. So that proves a point. I mean, you get rid of very big items in that. Look, how about a screw? I'll get rid of a whole screw, right? Here we go. Now, a screw is going to go off like a bomb on this coil. Okay, we get the screw. I'll put it in it. It doesn't even fit properly, but I'll get it in there as best I can. Hang on, and get the screw in there. Screw's in there. I don't know if this will actually get rid of a screw. Well, it doesn't totally. Oh, very close. I think it's probably doing better than the ferrite. We'll try a ferrite. Put a screw in it, see if we can get rid of that. Go about there. Go away. It's probably much the same. So it is cancelling the re-radiated, well, it's not even getting the field, is it? It's getting circumvented around the outside. But yeah, these yellow white ones work better. So did work better. No, I think the ground balance was tracked out. It was pretty close to ground balance, and then it disappeared. Hang on a sec. Isn't that amazing? That was working perfectly in there, and now it's not. Come on. This is ridiculous. Maybe a bit of the metal was poking out or something. I don't know. No. That's extremely strange. That really is strange. Why? Why is that doing that all of a sudden? Ah, okay. The head of the screw's coming out sideways. I'll hold it right in at the bottom. Come on, in there. I'm doing something wrong here, I think. I don't know, we'll get rid of the screw experiment. We'll go back to the solder blob. That is quite bizarre. You see that right in front of your face. It works beautifully, then it doesn't. Crazy. Okay. I don't think we really put screws in our coils, but it was just a test. But it did actually get rid of it, so, and then it come back. I don't know what happened there, but it could be, maybe it's picking something up. I don't know, I've moved something, who knows. But there's a massive big blob of, you wouldn't get that anyway, you wouldn't do that. Well, some people do. I've seen coils made with blobs like that in there. You shouldn't do it. Because any movement of that will sound off like a target near your coil, you know, touch sensitive. So there's that. Now, can't work that out, why that didn't work. And even though this big one is a little bit reactive, I'm going to put the screw in this and let's try it, because it did actually kill it. Now it wants to be really reactive. So hang on, back into tracking. Hang on a second, I was going to move some stuff away. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe I'm getting some funny effect. I don't know. Pull the coil back over here a bit maybe. No? No. Okay. Don't put screws in the coil. You can't get rid of them. I think that is really asking too much. But with soldering, these cores do work. They work fine. Oh, and I'll show you another thing too, by the way. Guys, if you're making coils and you want to know if the wire you are using is going to work, normally you would use tin plated copper wire or Litz wire. And even though this detector here is cranking away at a relatively alright sort of a speed, here's some scrap wire. This is the wire I actually used to make the high power pinpointer, because I pulled it apart. I had other uses for the ferrites, and they are ferrites, by the way, in those, but they're a specific type of ferrite, and they don't work very well at high frequency. They're basically a low frequency type of thing, sort of like up to about a megahertz and a half or so. But say we've got some red wire. Now, you know, it's multi-strand tin stuff. And you'd say, oh, look, all that wire should sound off on the coil. It doesn't care less. Okay? So if you had this in the right thickness and you, all your conductivity and so forth was correct to make a coil of X amount of turns or X amount of microhenries, you can use this. This will work because it's not detecting itself. There's a lot of wire around here. Have a look at this. Okay, this is, I'll grab this. It's got big blobby soldered ends, but this is transformer wire out of a transformer on a GPX. Yeah. Normally it won't sound off it, but it could be a bit thicker than normal. Oh, it might be pushing the limit, but it's probably could be sound. Oh, hang on, I had the two ends touched. That'll act like a shorted tune. How about this? No, still goes off. Got solder on it. It's having an effect. But most wire. Now I'll just try some really thick wire. I've got kicking around here somewhere. I had some before because I was using it to wire up this detector. Where are we? Yes, all the wires all tangled up here. This is a lot thicker. Let's see if this sounds off. Could you make a coil out of this? You wouldn't, because it's actually silicon insulation, extremely high dielectric constant, so it'd make a lossy coil. So, but I'm just looking at the wire inside. Yep, you can make a coil out of that, not a problem. And it's fairly thick. Not that you'd be able to see on the camera. So when you get to really thick wire, or if you get non-plated stranding, just pure copper, and normally if it's very clean wire, it'll sound off very easy. Don't use it. But I'll tell you what, if somehow the strands get oxidized, you can use it, because the oxidization between the actual wines will cause resistance, and it will not build up eddy currents in that receive time window. So you can get away with that. But yeah, so there's all different sorts of ferrites we have. Can't get rid of that. Can't get rid of it whatsoever. But yeah, guys, if you're making coils and you have terrible blobby solder, and of course, see if you can get some material like this, and it's just a reduced hydrogen type iron powder, but it also has that reset mechanism you really want, especially on detector coils. It's no good pulling it one way. How does it pull the other? It has to relax. It's going to take time. But these do it. Ferrites don't. Okay, so you can put like for the same size iron type core like this, and if you had the same, say you even had this one here, it's ferrite, it's much bigger. You'd say, we'll put it, you know, where they're going to operate frequency wise, this one here. So we're going to make something, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 kilohertz for this. Here we'll run something maybe 500 kilohertz, and we're going to pull, try and pull the same amount of power out of each of them through, you know, say if it was in a switch mode supply or a power inductor or something. This little one here will handle probably 500 watts. This thing here, I think if you got over 150 watts, smoke would be pouring off it. So even though the size difference, that looks like it should handle a lot more power, you don't normally want to run high power stuff through ferrites anyway, and you really definitely don't want to use them as a choke, because if you use them as a choke, they saturate and it'll burn up. It'll just collapse, and yeah, it'll get red hot. So use these for chokes as well. These are fine. And you can put DC through these as well. It won't saturate, where the ferrite you can't. So there's something in, you know, little things that may be completely useless information to everybody, but to me it's not. I mean, you know, I build stuff like this. I need to know this stuff so I don't make exploding bombs of ferrite in devices. But anyway, that's that yellow white, and that has that blob of solder in it. So yeah, build these into the coils. You know, not these, but get the shape of a tubular. Get the same shape as that. It probably, actually, you know, it doesn't need to be that big. With an iron type core, that could actually reduce very, very small indeed. It probably need a little bit of maybe similar length, but you could probably reduce the diameter of that. Maybe it doesn't need a big hole like that unless you're running a stack of wires through it, but you could probably reduce the size of that too. And these are fairly heavy, you know. These aren't light, they're heavy. You know, they're rare earths, they're just heavy. And so are these. But yeah, it's interesting. It really is. So what happens if we put that in there and we put a hot rock on it? Okay, let's try this. This is a... Yeah, I'm bouncing it all over the coil face. It's going to stay still, else it will have an effect. Okay, here we go. I'll just reset it again. Fixed tracking. Well, basically, you're not going to bang on the ferrite because it's going to be in, or the iron core will be in here. But ignore. Okay. Oh, this is the other one I wanted to do. So I put this on there. Watch this. This might freak a few people out, but I'll try. Can't ground balance it, and will not. Now, as best I can, do you think the iron hot rock, well, is going to sound off like crazy, and will I be able to balance this out? This is going to be interesting. Okay. Tracking. It's interesting, the effect, actually. I've got both together. Normally you'd have, if you had this in a winding and this was coming up on your coil, it's very similar to how it would, well, this wouldn't be moving, so, but it's not reactive enough in the coil because it's not through the windings. Both together, they track out. One on top of the other, it won't. Oops. The poor old detector doesn't like getting a signal from both at the same time. And I think that's what you're getting inside the detector with this. You're getting two, because you're getting hot rock coming in, but yeah. Yeah, but bring the ferrite in at the same time. Totally different. But yeah. I was having a few different results earlier today when doing this. I was getting a lot more reactance on the hot rock with this. Maybe I've done something and put in a different mode or something, probably, and or change the frequency of the detector. But it was really reactive with that sitting there. Even though if it was, maybe I did that. I don't know. I don't know. How about I stick it under the coil like that and then try and detect this side? See if I can actually get rid of it. Yeah, as long as the other one's stationary, I don't think it's too much of an issue, but it's not around the windings. So, you know, they are reactive. These things are reactive at the frequencies this particular detector is operating at. And, you know, what frequency or, you know, what rate does the GPZs flip and flip back? I don't know. I've never measured one. I should have, but I never have. Actually, I've got two out there. I better go and measure one, eh? We'll find out, and we'll just see if it's where it is in relation to this. But yeah, because these don't have a reset mechanism, and because that phase, that north-south on a bridge driver inside the GPZ, in my opinion, is going flop, flop, flop. You know, this, I don't know what the hysteresis is of these. That means the time lag it takes to change an energy state from north to south if you're pushing it that way. That's why you got to have these match for frequencies and power levels and that, because if you're pushing beyond their capabilities, they'll get hot. They'll get hot or they won't work. So it's not going to get hot in the metal detector. It's not enough power. Okay, well, I hope that has been some sort of educational. So, you know, in my opinion, GPZ coils should be using these to isolate the solder joints in the coil. Make comments on that. That's my opinion. It's my opinion. I haven't done any scientific tests because I don't have a GPZ coil. So if I did have one, it would be pulled apart and it would have smaller ones. I've got smaller ones of these. I've got little 5 and 7 mil ones as well. And we could put one of those or a couple of those on it and see how it goes with the hot rock. But I really think, you know, I'm just doing a fool's errand having it sitting there like that because it's in the winding. That's going to be far more reactive in the winding, and even that would be far more reactive in the winding. But it's bloody invisible, nearly invisible to the thing anyway. Well, ground balance has changed again, but it does show it is a little bit reactive. But you want to get you know, this sort of stuff as close to ground anyway. You don't want one sort of like, you know, slight decay or reactance here, and you've got a completely different reactance there, and you better have something similar. That's in my opinion, right? So that's what it is. I've got tons of ferrites here, big ones, small ones, all sorts. And yeah, by the way, I was saying about the ferrite used in AM broadcast band antennas. That's one, like a loop stick, loop stick or whatever they want to call it. This is the ferrite material, and I'll just show you something with this too. I'll just flick it from fixed into tracking. Yeah. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't want to get rid of this. No, I don't know why. But normally that it just ignores this stuff. I'll probably bring it in too close to the windings, but that's like 5 millimeters away from the coil. Everything's being a bit more reactive than how I like. Okay, whatever, get the solder and stick it on top. Here we go. This could open up another possibility. I just, whoops. Well, you know, this is, if I take this away, it's going to go off, right? But I'm just having that on the bar, solder on the bar. I thought it might be just circumventing around the bar and ignoring that, but No, it still picks it up. It's got to be enclosed in some circular structure by the look of it. So that's that. I think someone out there should apply this to the GPZ coils as some sort of more of a shape like that. You can get them made up. The companies out there will press these in any shape you want. As long as you order enough, they will do it, and they'll do any mix you want. So there's a lot of experimentation still, I think, in the coils and between ferrites and hydrogen reduced iron cores. So these are a lot less reactive because they've got lower permeability. These things are very high anyway. So yeah, horses for courses, people. That's probably way too long for a video, but you know, if you're mucking around for the 7000 and you know, you want to make good coils, try it, rip it apart, try it, see if it works. I don't know. I don't mean rip it apart. Manufacturers do it. Manufacturers make one with and one with something else and try it and see if it works, and shove it on a ton of hot rocks and see if you get a response or not. Yeah, I don't know. Is that worth a patent, you think, using powdered iron instead of ferrite? Oh, well, leave it there. Catches.